It is 4 in the morning in Birmingham, England. It is a January morning, so it is dark and it is freezing. This man picks up his phone and decides to call the police. He is calling to report a death, the death of a woman that is sitting in his car in the passenger seat. She recently has been axed to death brutally, and he's essentially calling to report himself as the perpetrator. Within 45 minutes, police have managed to track his car to this supermarket, a little supermarket in a neighborhood called The Cross. When they arrive, they find the man sitting in the driver's seat and his wife sitting in the passenger seat, bloodied and dead. She's immediately pronounced dead at the scene and he is taken into custody. This man had brutally attacked and ended the life of his wife using an axe in a car in a foreign country. I know that I no longer cover homicide, but I just had to tell the story because of the recent events that happened in the UK. My name is Edlene and welcome to The Obsession. So let's start at the top. If you look at this picture, you see a normal Zimbabwean migrant couple that is living and working in the UK. And this couple lived in the quiet suburb on the west side of Birmingham in a street called Overdale Road in Quinton. This is Nyasha Kahari and she was 35 years old. But I've actually noticed as I was doing research that most people who actually loved her called her Gillian. And her Zimbabwean papers seemed to refer to her as Gillian Zomunya. This is not exactly rare in Zimbabwe for a person to have a different name and a different surname. Nyasha had 4 kids. She had 2 girls and 2 boys, and the people who knew her claimed that she was kind, caring, and someone who loved her community and her family. She was married to this man, Nobet Chikerema, and he was 42 years old. I couldn't find enough details about when they moved to the UK, so we're gonna just skip that part, but we're gonna talk about the fact that these two had a nursing family business. This is not exactly unique because majority of the people that migrate to the UK are actually going to be absorbed in the care industry. So because they owned a care business, evening home visits were not exactly uncommon. They would get in their car after dark, drive to clients' homes, check on people, and then drive home after that. Now, everything I'm about to say right now is actually based on what prosecutors laid out in the Birmingham Crown Court. Sometime before January 2017, Nobet became convinced that his wife was having an extramarital affair. It is believed that he suspected that it was someone that was very close to them, someone that they worked with, someone who had access to their own home. So because he became very suspicious, he decided to hire a private investigator to follow his wife around. So because of this, on the morning of January 29, 2017, he said to have seen some certain footage that suggested that his wife had met another man and a man that he knew. It is also believed that he shared some of this video footage or the surveillance video to some of his relatives. And I think this convinced him that his wife was cheating on him, and he decided to put an axe into the car. That very night when the couple got into their Nissan for their routine work home visits, he had hidden an axe in the car. So they get into the car and they leave their 4 children at home. This is not unusual. This is what they do routinely, so nothing is suspicious. And for a while, this is normal. The couple genuinely visits a number of addresses that evening. Real clients, real stops. They leave the last one at around 11 p.m. And this is where the map ends, because shortly after 11 p.m., somewhere in Birmingham, at a location that has never been identified, Nobet Chikerema attacked his wife. She was sitting in the passenger seat and he attacked her with an axe around 40 times. She received 40 blows from an axe. There's no way that she could have survived. He made sure that each and every blow was concentrated to her head and to her neck, which means that he intended to kill her. After this, he drove around the city. Remember, it was around midnight and he could not go back home because his kids were home and he was blooded. So he decided to change his clothes, but he still could not find the courage to go back home. And then at some point around 4 a.m., he decided to accept his fate and he parked at a supermarket and called the police, and they came and arrested him. When the police reached the car at around 4:45, they found him behind the wheel of a Nissan. They also found his wife and she was beyond help. She was pronounced dead right there inside the car. They also found the axe, which was the weapon of the murder, and it was taken in as evidence. By Monday morning, this was a full murder investigation. Forensic teams at the car park, forensics at the family home, CCTV was pulled from across the city. I want you to imagine how those 4 kids felt when they heard that their mother was dead and their father was in custody. Just imagine how their world shattered overnight. It was such a gruesome murder that a lot of her family members had to fly from Zimbabwe to attend her funeral in the UK even before he stood for trial. In March, a farewell church service was held in London, and she was flown home on the 24th of March 2017, 8 weeks after that phone call, and she was buried in Zimbabwe. On the 2nd of February, just a few days later, he stands before a magistrate at Birmingham Magistrate Court, but then his case is taken upstairs to the Crown Court where murder belongs because it was a serious charge. Norbert does not deny killing his wife. He accepts that he had intentionally killed his wife. His argument is that his mind was not working properly when he decided to end his wife's life. He wanted to be charged for manslaughter because he believed that he was not in the right frame of mind when he decided to end his wife's life. According to the prosecution, this was a premeditated murder. He had planned and executed the murder of his wife because he had intentionally put an X into the car. There was no need for the X to be in the car. On the 22nd of November 2017, he was found guilty of murdering his wife and he was sentenced to life in prison. And the judge ordered that he had to serve a minimum of 22 years before he can ever apply for parole. My concern is the children, the trauma that they had to endure. Their mom is gone, died so violently, murdered by a man that they love so much, their father. It is even impossible to imagine how the kids felt and are still feeling today about how their mom died and how their dad decided to end their mom's life. Stories like these are very essential because they teach us a valuable lesson that violence does not solve anything. It makes things worse. It has never been verified if indeed she had cheated or she had not cheated. There was no hard evidence about it in court. But even if it was true, he could have simply moved on, married another woman, and lived his life to the fullest. But he chose to use violence, and now he's rotting in prison and his children are motherless. His claim that he lost his mind could not be substantiated in court, which means that he was actually responsible for each and every decision that he made on that particular night. And sadly, he decided to end a precious life. Attacking someone 40 times with an axe is not a mistake. It is a clear intention to kill. It shows the level of rage that he felt towards his wife. No normal human being can behave like this. So I told this story very carefully because Gillian Onyasha was loved by many people. Many people considered her to be a very loving person, a very caring mother, someone that really loved taking care of the elderly. And it's only unfortunate that we only got to know her because of this very brutal crime. Just imagine being in a foreign prison by yourself, sometimes no visitors, just being stuck there forever. He was already in his 40s and 22 years is quite a lot. Nothing that a person does in this entire world is worth you going to prison for. He did not just ruin his life, he ruined the life of his children who now have to grow up without a mother. My name is Edlin and thank you so much for watching my video. See you in the next one. Ciao.